scatter diagram, then this does no longer look like something that you'd read in an elementary statistics book. You've got to remember that statistics was developed in the late 19th century and in the 1920s. Actually, ironically, at places like UCL, where Pearson and Galton and all these people and Ronald Fisher, etc., were all located. And basically, they had wonderful, simple scatter diagrams with about 100 points on, where you could actually look at regression. This does not look as though it sort of conforms to the kind of thing we see in the statistics book. And this is data that potentially we could have had at any time over the last 30 or 40 years from the population census, this movement data. Okay, you get the point. Okay, so now what we're doing at the moment, and this to some extent is still a digression from my main theme about the 24-hour city. I'm going to spend 2 minutes just talking about a project where we've got, which actually uses conventional data, but scales it up to make it big. We've decided to build a land use transportation model of England and Wales, not of London, or Pittsburgh, or San Francisco, or anywhere like that, or Sydney, but of England and Wales. And this model is called Quant. And the reason why we've done it is that computers have now got big enough to be able to do it. We have 7,201 what we call middle layer super output areas. That's part of the census geography, a bit like wards. 7,201 in England and Wales. The reason why we're doing it in England and Wales and not Scotland is not because we don't like the Scottish or anything like that. I know the Scottish keep on wanting to leave us and all this sort of thing. Nevertheless, it's largely because in Scotland, and hereby to a tale too, the Registrar General is different from the one in England and Wales. And when we put this model together, we only had the data on flows in terms of England and Wales. The Scottish data had not been released. It has been released since then. So we've got basically matrices, big matrices of something like 52 million cells. Now, of course, there's only 52 million people in England and Wales anyway, so this is a sparse matrix to some extent, but we still have to deal with the matrix because potentially in the future there may be flows between places where there aren't at the moment, and this is what we want to predict. Okay, now this is actually the zoning system. Traditionally, until this particular model, most people work with these models of cities basically. But interestingly enough, there are some very significant flows between the big cities in, I should say, these are not, these are the, if we blew this up, we'd see that these would be the census tracts, basically, the super output areas. But in a sense, of course, it simply shows that the smaller the census tract, the more likely you are to be in a big city, etc. But nevertheless, this is basically the model. So every time the model runs, it computes everything to everywhere to everywhere, basically. And the other thing we wanted to do is to actually put it on the web so that anyone can use it, basically. And putting it on the web, we're into all sorts of problems about shipping big data files between servers and clients and all of this sort of thing. So I should say, too, that although we're working with this kind of census geography, we could, in principle, go down to the lower super output areas or the output areas themselves. And we could, in principle, build a model between 181,000 squared, basically, potential movements, etc., at this very fine level, because the census geography allows us to do this in this context. So again, this kind of census geography, too, is something that is only comparatively recently. It's taking census data from a questionnaire and actually putting it down at this almost address point level. Not quite in that sense, but it's still aggregated. Okay, very quickly then, in terms of showing you a few things from this data. These are very big matrices, but we can handle these very quickly. Our model runs within a matter of 2 or 3 seconds. If you're sitting in Middlesbrough or Newcastle or Carlisle or Penzance or somewhere, you want to run this model, you can log onto the website and run it, and because it's designed for stakeholders, it has to be quick. And the model runs within between 3 and 10 seconds, basically, depending on where you are, etc. But the real issue is actually shipping these data volumes across the net. And in some senses, okay, that's true. This is basically what you get. So that's the web link. You can run it on your phone, basically, but I'll advise you not to, because it's not really designed. The graphics aren't designed for the phone, basically. Although it is possible to run it on the phone, it's open in that sense. I ran it from the hotel room here, but I think the noise of people drinking down below basically sort of interfered with the internet, I think. But anyway, you can run it, and this is the kind of thing you get, basically. We're not actually trying to demonstrate the flows any longer. These are vector fields, basically, so all of these flows are basically collapsed into a vector, predominant vector, but it shows you the orientation of Britain, really, into the cities in that context. That's a bit like what Ravenstein did, 120, 130 years ago. And this is the kind of thing you actually get. This is actually putting a new airport into the Thames estuary and looking at the impact. Okay, so that's giving you a sense that a lot of traditional things we've been doing lead to big data. Let's have a look now at the new things that we're doing. I mentioned the idea of real-time streaming. So we'll depart really from looking at interaction, and we'll look at some of this real-time streaming. This is the London dashboard, which I think Stephen Gray in our group actually put together, and Ollie O'Brien. I think put this together a couple of years ago. And basically there's one for Birmingham. If you go to citydashboard.org, www.citydashboard.org, I think the London dashboard comes up by default, and then you can change the city to Birmingham, Liverpool, and so on. And in this, we've just got a bunch of things that are out there, which are streaming data all the time. For example, this is the status of the tube. You see the Victoria line is down there at that point. A couple of webcams, basically. Electricity. George McCarran, who was in our group for a bit, but at the LSE, he basically has a mappiness or mood map, basically. The Twitter trends are not available, but the FTSE 100 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all that stuff is up there at the top. Okay, so you get the idea. All of this stuff is publicly available, very easy to get and put it into this context. Here, for example, is a little bit of a movie showing you what you can do. There's a mouse running around here. Okay, it's there, so pointing to FTSE. And so on, and then it'll actually bring up the mouse, bring up the map at that point, so you can actually have a map of various things that are going on. Let me move on. This is Stephen showing you how each of these windows have been extracted into what he calls an iPad wall. Basically, these are iPads, and he's showing you a little bit of the functionality of these dashboards. Okay, there's a whole variety of things you can do. He's controlling it from his iPhone. It's all very kind of gee whiz, blingy, etc. But nevertheless, this is what happens in our centre occasionally. Okay, so and then I think he's going to show one of our 3D models basically running on that iPad wall. Okay, so let me just move on. Okay, Ollie O'Brien has developed something which is superb, right? Now you can get this on your phone. I think that this is the London Panopticon, and basically these are web cameras which are positioned at the 8 points of the compass around the little pull-down menu in the middle. Basically, you pull down, you've got Bloomsbury, Trafalgar Square, sort of Blackfriars and so on, and the web cameras come up and you can actually see them. Now, I can't do this because we don't have an internet connection, but this is the kind of stuff which is part of the real-time city.